In response to the change of leadership in the White House, many organizations are holding events to advance their agendas in Boston. One of them is an organization concerned about the needs of people affected by upheavals in West Africa, especially Cameroon, Gambia, and Liberia. To tell us what's planned and why it matters to people in Boston are the executive director of Universal Human Rights International, Torley Kruer, and also with us is a board member of the organization, Reverend Henry Yongo. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. I want to start with Torley. Talk about why an American president would be able to do much about the situation in West Africa.
The United States government is involved in wide-ranging issues around the world, from foreign aid, military aid, to a lot of governments around the world. And so I believe they have leverage in a lot of these countries, because most of these countries, while they have natural resources, they rely on American taxpayers' money that comes through foreign aid. So I think not just the president, but the average Joe on the street also has leverage. And I think we need to use it at this time.
Reverend, you're from Cameroon. Talk about what's happening there.
Actually, the situation in Cameroon is a big concern because the Anglophones,
the people who speak
English, and who are called Anglophones in Cameroon, they have been marginalized for about 55 years today, since they reunited with French-speaking Cameroon. The issue is southern Cameroons, which is today part of French-speaking Cameroon, was colonized by the British. So by October of 1961, the British had to leave for them to have their independence. So they decided that because they were not economically viable, they should decide to join Nigeria, to be part of the Federation of Nigeria, or to come back and join French-speaking Cameroon. So no option was given, like, should they be independent or not? So they had just two options: go to Nigeria, or come back to French-speaking Cameroon. So they took the lesser evil, which was coming back to join French Cameroon, where originally they left. So today, after 55 years of that reunification, the terms of the contract were not respected. It had to be a federal state, two-state federation, with the English-speaking population managing their resources and running their own system without the interference of the French-speaking section. But a few years later, the president of the Republic of Cameroon at that time decided to dissolve the federation without calling for a viable referendum to find out if the English-speaking population were interested in keeping it or letting it go. So when they did that, they had to bring the English-speaking section under the French-speaking section, which was not part of the initial agreement. The two peoples were to live together equally on all the bases. But today, everything is controlled by the French. They appoint everything in the English-speaking section. Even in our schools, they send French-speaking lecturers to come teach our children. Not the English they expect. They teach them in French and teach them in broken English. In our courts, they appoint French-speaking judges who do not understand the English common law. Now, how do you expect a case to be well handled by a French-speaking magistrate who does not even understand English? So that's why the teachers and the lawyers decided to stand up against it, to say enough is enough.
We're talking with Reverend Henry Yongo and Troy Kruer from Universal Human Rights International. Troy, what you're talking about in these countries is that we not only have these inequalities and disagreements, but there's some violence going on.
Absolutely. Today in Cameroon, the government is responding to peaceful protests by people in the street, by killing people. They're killing people, locking people up, shutting down all of the schools. And just 2 days ago, they shut up internet communications in that whole region. So we're talking about life and death situation. And we believe that we, as people living in a civilized society, need to speak out to make sure that the abuse of human rights in Cameroon is stopped.
Right. Reverend, what about your ability to talk to people in your family back in Cameroon? How has that been working out?
At first it was very easy, but now the government decided to shut down internet. It has become very difficult to understand what is going on.
And that's the main phone line for a lot of people these days, if they're in different countries, right?
Yeah. So presently we have people being killed, women being raped, brutalized, harassed, arrested. And the funniest thing is that they arrest people from an English-speaking jurisdiction where the people are governed by the common law and transfer them to Yaoundé, which is under the French civil law. I mean, we expected them to arrest people there and judge them where they're arrested. Not arrest them in a common law jurisdiction and transfer them to the civil law jurisdiction. It doesn't work. So it is so difficult that presently they have arrested all the leaders of the teachers and lawyers trade unions. And they are charging them for secessionist tendencies, charging them for inciting protests and so on.
And ban their organization.
Yes, and which in effect does not really tie with the origin of the protests.
Troy, talk to me about what you have planned for the event in Boston.
So what we want to do is we want to organize a rally tomorrow at Government Center, and we're calling everyone to come to support, to stand up for human rights in the Cameroon. It's not a Cameroonian issue. I've been to Cameroon. I'm from Liberia. I've been to Cameroon. I worked in Cameroon. But human rights issue is everyone's issue. And we need to stand up for the rights of human beings, wherever they may be. When you have people raping innocent women, killing children, jailing people for peaceful demonstration, it's a concern for everyone. So we have it tomorrow at 12 noon at Government Center, and we are asking everyone to come and join with us.
Reverend, talk about how important it is for people in Washington to just even take notice, because, it seems that over the past, even under Obama, it seemed that the situations in Africa didn't get a whole lot of attention compared with some other places.
It's really true. That is why we are here, because we want to create that awareness of what is happening back there. The world cannot just sit and watch the Yaoundé regime kill people, harass people, rape women, and they go clapping for them because it is the issue of the government. No. I think we want to make sure that the rights of the people should be protected. The freedom to talk, the freedom to protest, the freedom to say what they think should be done should be respected by the government.
Troy, your work here, of course, extends back here to Boston because you have families who come from Africa. They're trying to make a new life in Boston. And you recently were designated as a fellow to do some work with that under a program supported by the Boston Foundation. Yes,
it's a neighborhood fellowship. It's a 2-year program by the Boston Foundation. I was recommended by Chris Mahdi from the Family Independence Initiative. And I'm really thrilled to be part of that fellowship because, we live in a small town, and in Boston, we have a wealth of diversity from people from Somalia, from Liberia, from so many places have gathered together in this town. And yet I find that in Boston, we have the Cameroonians in the Cameroonian community, Liberians in Liberian communities, Somalis, and we as a city have not been able to explore and be enriched by the rich cultural diversity that exists right here. And so I'm really thrilled that I'm going to be part of this fellowship, and I'm grateful to Boston Foundation for even creating an opportunity for people like me, someone from outside of this country who moved here, have been involved in organizing work to get this recognition and work with other organizers in the city for us to make Boston a better city.
Finally, Charlie, we should mention the exact time and place again for the event and how people can get in touch if they want some more information.
So it is it's going to be tomorrow 12 noon at the government center. We'll march from the government center to the federal building. We have a permit from the city to do this, and it's going to be at 12 noon tomorrow. And contact information can be found on youngafrica.org. Yeah, we'll put the information
ORG,
out.
of
Yes.
course. All right. Thank you both very much, Troy Kriller and Reverend Henry Yongo. Up ahead, the report from Dorchester with Bill Forey.